which we can use as criteria for it. And then at the end of the day, what this produces is an ABC count group, or whatever you define your count group as, and then it associates it with the item's profile. So if we take a look here, we can see under, this is our item definition screen, and we're just under the general tab. You'll see the cycle count group listed here. So once we define out our criteria, you can see the item is now associated with count group A. For ABC days, what we have here is a few different things. For work days, we have the number of days that you want to do the cycle counts in the month. We also have the month, which you can define only the months in which you want to do the cycle counts. If you want to do it quarterly, you can just tinker with the work days in the months. As you can see here in this example, we have all 12 months accounted for. And then the last bit of information we're capturing here is the system calculated field that shows the number of times that each one of these cycle counts has been generated for the month. What this is doing is allowing us to automate the cycle count process. We also have the capability to monitor a location's capacity. And during the picking process, if it is determined that the quantity is lower than what the system has, we can automatically generate a cycle count. And that's for automation. We still have cycle counts that you can generate manually. And give me just 1 second. I think we have a participant whose mic is causing some chatter. Yeah, there we go. It looks like they've been muted. We also have the ability to manually generate these cycle counts. You can do both a physical and a cycle count. And we'll go over the buttons that you see here for generate task, update inventory, and auto generate counts. So if you want to generate tasks, what this will do when you click that button is generate the count tasks and making these tasks available on RF devices. As some of you may know, we still support paper. Paper is an option in World 4. The features that you're seeing today are still supported by paper. We can generate a cycle count document you can print out and hand out to your team. Or if you want to generate the task and have them pushed to the handhelds, we can do that as well. Once all of those tasks have been completed, you can update the inventory using this update inventory button. It's allowed only if all of the task has completed, and this is going to basically do an inventory adjustment on all of the quantities that you entered in on those cycle counts. We have both physical and cycle counts. The procedures vary slightly on the handheld itself. On a physical count, it'll just take the quantity entered when they count, and it's a blind count. On the cycle count, it'll actually ask for the quantity twice if the quantity entered does not match what's in inventory. If both times that quantity does not match what's in inventory, you can review that data and then decide if that's what you want to update the inventory with. And then lastly, we have the auto generate count button. What this is going to do is automatically generate the count based on the ABC classification setup that we just talked about. So if you have those automations running, you don't have to come in here and click this button, but you can also have the counts, the classification put your lettering there for you, and then you can come in here and kind of manually generate the counts. Lastly, what I'll point out here are these group parameters. So when we're building these cycle counts, you can do it automatically, or you can come in at any time and select certain parameters. You can see we can do it within a certain area, a zone, or a location, or group code. We also have items, owners, receipt dates, and count dates. A lot of times what we see in practice are warehouses that store various items, and some of those items are much larger in dimension. They're easier to count. When you get into those smaller ones, maybe if you have a pick face with, you know, the nuts and bolts, those get a little bit more tedious to count, and often mistakes are found. So you can leverage this from item parameter and just make sure that those items, wherever they are in the warehouse, are going to be counted. All right, we'll touch on allocation and deallocations. So we have both the allocation procedures and the allocation plans. The procedures, we'll show that screen here in just a minute, but the purpose of those procedures are for you to define how you want the inventory to be allocated. And then the plans is basically when you want those allocation procedures to come into play. So you can have various plans which would allow for different procedures to take over. The breadcrumb here, once again, is shown up at the top. We're just under WM, maintenance, and then warehouse map. And if we open up the allocation procedures, you can see a few of the out-of-the-box ones that we have available to you. Once again, these are user-defined. So you can have the inventory automatically allocated based off of the attribute, which are also user-defined in the system. You can have it to where it's going to follow just one pack with the exact quantity. So if you have either a mixed pallet or a pallet that's no longer a full pack, it's just holding less inventory than what a pack ID can hold, we'll try to allocate that inventory first. So that's one of the allocation procedures that you can set up. Of course, we have FIFO, LIFO, and a few other ones that we've done. These are user defined, and as always, if you need help setting them up, if you have the criteria in your head but not quite sure how to make the allocation procedure work for you, we have our engineers who can assist you with defining these. Okay, we'll move on to order management. This is our new order management screen. What we have here is the ability to do allocation groups. You'll see this new tab here for allocation groups. And up at the top in the browser, you'll notice that we have a variety of open orders, and we have this allocation group column listed here. We have this sequential number that's added in by WISE, and it's basically allowing us to take multiple orders and put them into one group. The same process can be done for shipments, and you can use this button here to manually add it to a group, or we can have this set up with the allocation procedures that if it meets a certain parameter, it'll automatically put a group of orders into one allocation group. You'll see here as well, we have buttons for deallocating, so you can deallocate the entire group, or if you have just one order that's in that group and there's something wrong with inventory, or for whatever reason you want to deallocate just that particular order, you can use the deallocate the selected order button. As always, the browser here changes based on the criteria selected, so all you'd have to do is make sure that you select the correct row and then hit your deallocate button there. We also have the allocation tab, and what this is doing is showing us based off of your filter, if you want to filter it by order or by group, the quantity that you have on the order or on the group, how much is allocated, and if any of it is waiting for inventory. This is going to show the task associated with it. So you can see here in this example that we've completed successfully one of them, and we do have one other task available. This also comes into play for that WFI, which is that waiting for inventory. So you can have orders, if you have an e-commerce integration, you're having orders come in, you can quickly tell if you do not yet have that inventory in your warehouse. And we can also set up cross-docking. So if you want to have that item that you know is already in an expected receipt, it's already an inbound set to arrive, you're waiting for inventory here for this outbound, we can have it set up to where it'll automatically cross-dock that inventory and just put it directly into the truck, bypassing all of the put away and picking process and speeding up your ability to deliver. One call out there I forgot to mention is just the refresh button as you're changing between filters and orders. If you find that the data here does not match, it's a pro tip. Don't forget to click your refresh button. Then we'll touch on some static and dynamic reports. In our each iteration that we come out with, we do produce more static reports. along with dynamic reports, and we have started to create a lot more dashboards. We'll have a separate webinar containing those new dashboards, and in our newest versions, we've had a lot more color added into them. So static reports, using the definition that we see here for showing historical data relevant to a specific time period to support business decisions. We do have new inbound and outbound summary reports. As we talked about earlier, we have the ability to support paper. So we have all of those paper documentation still in the system. They haven't gone anywhere. And then we have the put away list as another example. Countless forms, just like we're talking about for those cycle counts. Go back one screen. For those cycle counts, you can see if you wanted to just issue paper and have the operator go out onto the floor and do his counts that way, we have the ability to support it. Once again, this can all be done on the handheld. We have the count comparison report here, which is showing us the system quantity versus the count quantity, and if there was any variance. In this report, in this example, there wasn't very big variances except for on this last one here. You can see that the system thought we had 1, count quantity was 18, there's a variance of 17. Most likely the guy upon receiving put in 1 and just forgot to put in the 8, but we can easily update the inventory and view this in a dynamic view or in a static report. So any one of these reports can be sent out automatically on a frequency to your liking, or you can generate them manually by just going into the reports section of Wise. When we look at dynamic reports, or as the Wise system labels them, is views, we have the ability now to filter them with ease. So you can see here in this example, same one we were looking at earlier for the inventory locator view. We have all of our items listed here, and they all have the same owners, just Tire Co. listed there. You can see the information on their units of measure. You can see where all of their inventory resides. You have also the additional tabs here for order allocation, work allocation, if you wanted to get the exact order numbers that they're assigned to. Same thing for shipments. And the way we're building this is off of these filters. So for those of you new to the 8.0 graphical user interface, we have this ribbon that's up at the top. It's going to be on all of your screens. It's very similar unless there's any additional buttons that we needed to add for the particular function. We'll have those buttons there for you. But every one of these will have this filter tab. And within the filter, you can grab any one of the fields that are on that view and build your filter for them. So in this example, we had just shown me the inventory for this one particular owner. As you build these filters, you can give them a name, save them, and you can save them just for your own use, or you can save them for all of your different users. If you wanted to have a certain KPI that you're measuring and you want to make sure that all of your staff are adhering to it, you can simply build a view and save it for all of your users there. What's next? What do we have coming up in the additional webinars? We do have 3PL billing procedures that we're going to be covering. We'll dive deeper into forecasting and touch again on catch weights and expiration dates. Dick, I know there's a few more items you had listed for upcoming webinars. You want to talk to those right now and give the floor to you.
There's a couple other things too. We now have decimal points in Wise. In the earlier versions, we did not have decimal points. And you have up to 5 decimal points. The main reason for this is now in a lot of the industries, for example, in food, you have certain flavorings that are $10,000 an ounce. Whereas before it used to be in gallons, you could go to quarts, pints, ounces for your measurements. Now, a half ounce does 200,000 jelly bellies, for example. So the whole key is that we responded to what our customers want. That caused an entire rewrite for 8.0 for us to be able to do decimal points. There were a lot of other things that are behind the scenes in the upgrades. You went from, in the 7 series, you were in slower versions of Progress. Progress has upgraded. Progress is now on 12.2. A lot of our customers are all the way back on 10.8, 10.6. 7.5 got into the 11 series. But again, the database is now faster. It's now bigger. It now supports multi-tenancy. It now supports multiple ownership and the other things that we were showing on this. Are there any questions right now that you would like us to answer?
Yeah, hey, Dick, I had a question.
Okay.
I know it states that under this for inventory, it seems like the new version is going to force the user to visit locations that are empty. Now, is that for physical inventory or cycle count inventory?
If the location is empty, the system knows it's empty and does not send them there. If there's 0 in the location, the only time it sends is if it's supposed to be inventory there. And that's to check it. The system also goes a step further. For example, if you show 10 pieces in inventory and someone goes to pick and there's only 8, the system will automatically, unless you ask us to disable it, it will automatically schedule a cycle count for that particular product to try to find out where it is. So there's been a lot of automation to it.
I think that's fantastic, especially it looks like now how would that cycle count task be created if you have a warehouse associate out there that picks from a location, the RF scanner asks them if it's empty and they reply no?
Ask them to count it, and then it will give you the variance and it will schedule a cycle count for that product. Because obviously it's in the wrong places. If they've got it wrong there, they probably have it wrong somewhere else.
Absolutely. And does that get, how do I see that cycle count as sitting at my desktop?
You will get an alert.
Okay, that's what I want. Very good.
Either the alert will come on your screen, or if you choose, it can come as an email. This way, if you're at home, you can find out.
Thank you, sir.
I have a question.
Sure.
And it kind of goes back to the previous presenter regarding the allocation groups. Are those allocation groups automatically generated for every order, or do you have to allocate to every order?
Depends how you've set it up.
Correct.
Depends.
Go ahead, Justin, please.
Yeah. So you have, let me go back to allocations and here. So you have both the allocation plan and the allocation procedures. The allocation plan is basically deciding, I don't have a screen for it, when that procedure will kick in. So you can have certain orders. Let's say you have a allocation plan set up, and that plan only relates to a certain order type that is e-commerce. So anytime you have an order come in for e-commerce, it can automatically allocate that inventory based off of your procedures. Conversely, if you have another plan that's just for orders that are maybe called in, your CSR is doing the data entry on it. She's just he or she is just manually entering that data. That can be a different order type, i.e. a different allocation plan and procedure. That one then can be manual. And we even have, let me go back here, slide picture, yep. We even have the manual allocation button. So, I mean, you can still have a rule for allocations that's not automatically applied until you hit the allocate button. And that's going to go out, search for the inventory, try and find, based off of your criteria, the correct inventory to allocate. And then one step further, if for whatever reason that allocation procedure isn't matching what you have in your head, you can go in and manually allocate. You can just grab the specific pack IDs that you want to allocate to the order. And I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name, but did that answer your question? I think he muted himself since. Hopefully I'm not disconnected and talking
I'm
to
sorry.
dead air.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I had you on mute there. Sorry. Yeah, my name is Minaz. My question was regarding allocation groups. If we want to say allocate orders to depending on delivery day, can we, when we enter the order, identify an allocation group of, say, Tuesday, 6/20, whatever it is, 24? Is that a possibility? Can we name our own allocation group and then allocate as we're entering orders to that group so we know which orders need to be picked for which day?
Yes, so you have that add to group button here. So if you wanted to build a group just for that had to go out by a certain day, and then you want to just keep adding in as many orders as you want to it, you can easily create each one of those orders and manually add them to the group until that time has hit, and
perfect.
Then release and allocate. Yep.
Okay, perfect.
I have something to add to that. For one of our customers, they ship by container. And what they did is they put the size of the container in, and then they start allocating orders to that. And the system will tell them when they've got enough for a full container to ship. So you can get real cute with that as well.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much.
Okay. Did you already register with us?
Could you repeat what version of Progress
Okay, 'cause that email
you're going to be on?
is not coming out of my system. That's right.
8.2 is on 12.2.
12.2. Great, thank you.
The email you gave me, it doesn't come out of my system that's been registered. Can you?
There are a lot of extra features in Progress 12.2. It's much more enhanced for anyone who's going to do webinars or do things on the web. It's enhanced so that you can do shipping better. It has better API abilities, etc. So this was Progress's response to people selling on the web so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Richard, I got a question on the multi-warehouse environment. I don't recall if I see the views. Are is the views separate by warehouse or combined?
You can, as far as paper is concerned, you can use or not use it anywhere. Basically, the reason we kept paper is a lot of our customers will have a temp warehouse during their busy season. In other words, they'll rent space for 3 months. And they don't want to spend the money on an infrastructure so that they can use handhelds. So this way, if you put a printer over at that temporary warehouse, you can very easily then include it, send data over there so that they can do their picks or they're receiving over there on paper, and then you put it into the system. So that's why we left paper.
I'm not sure that was the question. Julio, you were talking about viewing inventory based on different locations.
Right,
In
yes.
the, in,
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
yeah, Julio, if I heard you correctly, you were interested to know whether or not the view would show the separation of the inventory at the warehouse level.
Well, right, that is what will we have on the views? Would we have a separation by warehouse?
So when you first log into the system, you're going to log in based off of tenant, and those warehouses that you put in there are associated with the tenant. And
Okay.
then what we do for distinguishing the warehouse locations from one another is we add the prefix of that warehouse code. So all of your locations would have the warehouse code prefixed to it. So when you're in a view, you can see the locations and have, you know, in this example, West Coast 01, and then you have your location scheme right behind it. That's how you're able to distinguish one set of warehouse locations from another.
Oh, okay, got it. I see.
yeah. So you can view it, obviously, just for the one. You can filter a view and you'll have it just for that location.
I see. So yeah, I see. So if
Yes.
you want to see one particular warehouse, you filter based on that, like it's nomenclature of the warehouse code.
Correct. So warehouse, so like location, when you're building your filter, location begins with, and then you would add that warehouse code. So then you can separate it out easily.
Okay, yeah, okay, got it. Thank you.
A little further on multi-tenant. Multi-tenancy gives you the ability to segregate totally or not. Again, it's all in the way it's set up. So we can set it gives us an additional way to set up the warehouse so that you see different filters, different views based on what your criteria is.
Want to do this? Just send me a quick email.
That's correct. And I forgot to mention it earlier, this access to inventory at both the tenant level and the warehouse level is included in our customer portal. So in eWise, your customers can log in and choose which warehouse, which tenant they want to log into and view the inventory on. It is another easier way to see the inventory at the warehouse level. Back to that question, I think it was Julio who asked. So instead of going through a filter, you can actually use eWise, and there's we have a roadmap for it, but there's a button in eWise where you can just quickly toggle between your warehouses. Let me see if I can share a screen on that. Yeah. Dick, can you confirm I'm still sharing? My
Yes, you're
system
still
might have
sharing.
just shared just a PowerPoint. Let me share again.
No, you're sharing.
Okay, so we should be looking at some donut dashboards.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can see it.
And then we have up here, you can easily just switch between your owners. So if you have one owner and you want to give them access, you can just limit this to just their own inventory, but also here, the warehouse tab. So you can just easily switch between which warehouse you're looking at.
Nice. And this view is available on the eWise.
Yes.
Correct.
Right, okay.
In item definition, UOM, you have a minimum quantity to alert on. Is that multi-warehouse now as well?
That's a good one.
Ah,
I'll have to get back to you on that, Lucy.
okay, thank you.
These are some good questions we're having. And Richard, I also wrote down that one so we can get back to the scene.
Yes.
What other
we'll get
questions
back
do
to
y'all
you.
have for us?
So specifically, Lucine, again, what do you want it to do?
So right now we have a problem because we do have multi-warehouses that field is only set for our entire company. So it would be nice that we could see our Georgia warehouse, they want to keep a minimum of 100 units, but in Utah, they want to keep 500 units because of volume out there.
Well, that
And
would,
right now,
okay, now you've explained it better. Thank you. Multi-tenancy would give you that. With multi-tenancy, your rules for each warehouse can be totally different. We have one customer that's got 35 warehouses, and every one of them operates differently. So with multi-tenancy, basically, it's like what we used to do with the old system, where you had a separate server at each warehouse so that you could segregate it. Now you can do it from the main with a multi-tenancy. Multi-tenancy gives you a lot of flexibility.
okay,
So in 8.2, you have multi-tenancy. Therefore, it's there. It's just you set it up the way you want.
Yeah, and
and
I'll
this,
get
And
through
you
some
can have
setup
different
documentation
security
for
as
you.
well.
okay, thank
Sorry
you.
about that. Good. Yes, ma'am.
This is Wally. I'm not sure if you can hear me. I'm in with Sergio. The question I've got is, how do you, in multiple warehouses under one tenant, set up the allocation process so that you're not splitting orders between two warehouses?
It's that same thing, leveraging the warehouse code. So in your allocation procedure, when you build in your query, you can cite the warehouse code so it knows where to look. If you want to allocate it across multiple warehouses, then you can. If you don't, you can have a separate procedure that would pinpoint which warehouses you want to allocate from.
That can also be done in the rules. When you set up your rules for allocation, you can put in your own rule, basically, that says, find the warehouse that can fulfill the entire order, if possible. If not, use multiple warehouses. So you can put that in the rules, so the system will first look to see if any warehouse can fulfill the entire order before it splits it.
Okay. Very good.
Okay. That was a big change in the allocation rules. The allocation rules on the earlier version were quite rigid.
Did you guys see the question in chat?
Yes, we were just about to address that for freezing orders.
Okay.
Can you give us a little bit more information? And thanks, Tim, for the call out. So for the gentleman or woman who mentioned freezing orders, could you tell us a little bit more?
Yeah, sometimes you want to hold the order for a while. The customer should be ready for receipt, and then you want to freeze the allocated item for that order. And when the customer is ready, or when we are ready, we automatically allocate that freeze order to that specific order. But I believe that today it doesn't work. So it means as soon as we release the freeze, the order item is available for any order.
Okay, I'll try to answer that one. With the new system, you also have multiple ownership. So if you take that inventory and allocate it to that owner only, no one else can touch it. So you have 3 levels here. You have multi-tenancy, multi-warehouse, and then multi-ownership. So if you use the multi-ownership, you just would say, okay, this belongs to Fred. Therefore, the only one that it can go to is to Fred.
It means this is a part, because this actually is a customer. It means we can allocate that specific order as an ownership to the customer.
Yes,
Okay.
that product and that quantity. In other words, I can say I have 150 widgets on the shelf, and for general insurance or whatever, they are ordering 100. you can then allocate 100 to general insurance. Then the only order that will be able to take that 100 is general insurance. The other 50 would be available, but not the 100 that you've reserved for general insurance.
Because actually I'm not the user of the Royal for, only I'm support the people in the warehouse. It means as soon as they go to like the reallocate, I don't know exactly how the Royal for works at that, that process. It means as soon as they make available the item for like that order, nobody can allocate that like the available item. Because when you freeze, somehow we should be unfreeze, yes?
Yeah.
And then when the unfreeze, because the item still has ownership.
Yeah, you can go in and deallocate so that it's available again if for example, if the customer cancels the order,
Okay,
you can go in now and deallocate by item.
okay, thank you, thank you.
It's a lot more flexible than it was before. In the earlier versions, it was very rigid.
Okay. Because we have a major problem in the old version, but I believe that maybe they don't know how to use it. To talk to them, maybe we should be work with your team to fix that problem.
Yeah, we'll have your person get in touch with you, and we'll set up a call with somebody so that we can go through with you and tell you whether your version allows it or not.
Yeah, because we're just recently upgrade to the version 8. But maybe I'm not this feature available in version 8, or maybe you have like a newer version.
There are times we can retrofix to an older version.
Okay.
And that's why I need a technical person to talk to you at this point to
Thank
see
you.
if we can do what you want.
Thank you. Yeah, you have my contact. I'm calling from the Four Seasons General Merchandise. I think you have my information.
Okay, your client success manager will be in touch with you.
Okay, thank you.
That's what we're here for, our client success team. We want to make you very successful with Royal 4 product. What we're finding is a lot of our customers had the system set up for the specific issues that they had at the time of purchase. And there's been a lot of changes over the years to your business plan and everything else. A lot of you do not have all the functionality turned on the versions you have. So we'll be delighted to set up meetings for you so we can find out if the version you have has that product or has that ability, and figure out what is the best for you. That's what we're here for. Okay. Any more questions we can answer? If not, thank you very much for attending. As I said, this will be the first of many. We're going to try to do one a month. And we are taping them, and they will be available on the client portal for you to listen to if you feel you missed something. So you can log into your client portal and you will have the ability for any of the things we're doing in the white papers. This PowerPoint that Justin did will be placed on that as well. So if you want to, you can download that PowerPoint and look at all the things that he went through with you to further help you. Okay? If you're
That's
having a
correct,
problem
and-
getting into the client portal, contact your client success manager and they will get you the password that you need to get in there. The client portal is only for clients. Even our salesmen can't get in. Okay?
And Dick, I'll add just one last thing before we wrap. We do have the document here that we're referring to for the new releases as they hit each iteration. So what that means is if you are on maybe 7.2 and want to go to, don't want to jump to 8, maybe there's a few things that you like in between. We have them broken out here, so you can see what was in 7.6, what was added then in 7.7, and so on. So if you're just looking for a particular feature set and you don't want to maybe make the jump to 8 for whatever reason, feel free to read through this brochure here. It really goes into detail of what modifications or what changes have been made to the latest release, and reach out to your customer service rep to get some more information on it.
They'll be glad to send this out, or reach out to me and I will send it to you. It will also be posted on the client portal.
Yep.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any further questions? We're still here.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks, everyone.
have a great day.